Hey people, welcome back to the channel. This is a story in which Naruto meets Kurama in the land of waves and they have a mutual friendship. In this story Naruto shifts toward his mother's side as a Uzumaki seal master. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video. Leave a comment if you want to suggest fanfic. Check the description for credits and support the creator of the story. So let us begin. Chapter 44. Battles of Uzushiogakure. They left the archives with Naruto trotting along ahead, thinking of what everyone would say when they saw his amazing sealing talents. It was then that he felt a tug on his jacket collar as Jiraiya quickly pulled the blonde behind the crumbled wall of an old building. Hey, Ero Sennin, what? Naruto was interrupted when Jiraiya put his hand over Naruto's mouth. Shish, he gestured, pointing over to a few people walking through the ruins. Naruto could see that they were ninja. When one of the ninja turned their head, he could easily see which village they were affiliated with. Sound. What are the Sound doing here? Asked Naruto. I don't know, but it can't be anything good, said Jiraiya. Well, what are we waiting for then? Let's go kick some Sound ass, said a brazen Naruto as he tried to run off into the group of Sound to attack them and kick their ass out of Uzu. He was held back by Jiraiya once again. Just hold on. We don't even know why they're here or even how many of them there are, said Jiraiya. Summoning Jutsu. Jiraiya summoned Gamakichi. Yo, said the small orange toad. Hey, we need you to do some scouting for us. There are a bunch of Sound ninja on this island and we need you to find out how many there are and if there are any distinguishable individuals, said Jiraiya. Gamakichi nodded and hopped off to do his scouting. He then turned to Naruto and went through the summoning hand seals again. Summoning Jutsu. A small orange toad appeared that had multiple white folds across its midsection. Hey Ero Sennin, who's that? Asked Naruto. Hey Jiraiya, is he who I think he is? Asked the toad. Jiraiya nodded to the toad. Naruto, this is Garotora. He's the keeper of the key to your seal, said Jiraiya. The key. So Ero Sennin does have the key, said Naruto. Kurama nodded and smiled. Naruto, after your last encounter with the Sound, I'm not taking any chances. Whatever they're here for, it can be for no good. And I think I know why they're here, said Jiraiya. Now, you told me that those 4 Sound ninja transformed into monsters and you had to use a large portion of the Kyuubi's chakra to beat them, correct? Yeah, but what does that have to do with the Sound being here right now? Asked Naruto. Because, if I know Orochimaru, there is a good chance that there are more of those freaks here. Also, realize we can't let Orochimaru have his way with this place. There are too many powerful secrets here for us to allow the Sound to have their way. And you're not ready to take on those freaks on your own. In fact, even with me, you're not ready to take them on. However, you have something that can beat them and that's the Kyuubi, but we can't have you going unconscious afterwards, so we are going to loosen your seal to allow you to draw on the Kyuubi's chakra longer, said Jiraiya. Really? Said an excited Naruto. Are you sure about this Jiraiya? Asked Garotora. I am. While I still don't fully trust the Kyuubi, he's proven that he's not quite what we thought he was. If it wasn't for the Kyuubi, there is a good chance Naruto and his team would have been dead, multiple times. I won't fully unlock the seal just yet, but loosen it enough to extend the amount of time Naruto can spend in that 4-tailed form, said Jiraiya. He then turned to Naruto. Naruto, you understand what I'm about to do, right? Naruto nodded. Good. Now does the Kyuubi understand that if he does anything that I don't approve of, I will make the seal so tight that getting out will be the last of his worries, once he figures out how to breathe again. Touchy. Fine, tell that pervert I understand and I won't try anything funny, said Kurama to Naruto. He understands, Ero Sennin, said Naruto. Good. Now you and I are going to have a long talk regarding the Kyuubi chakra after we deal with the Sound. Understand? Asked Jiraiya. Naruto wasn't sure what this talk entailed, but he wasn't looking forward to it. Still, he knew the Sound had to be taken care of if any of those freaks showed up, he would need the Kyuubi's chakra to take care of them. Naruto nodded and Jiraiya copied the key onto his own arm. He activated the key and pressed it into Naruto's seal, loosening it by a few turns. Naruto and Kurama could instantly feel the effect of the weakening seal as their connection with one another strengthened. Hey Kurama, what do you think? Said Naruto to his inhabitant. Looks like I might be able to push you to a seven-tailed form now. Still, the four-tailed form should be good enough for those freaks and I think you should be able to hold it for maybe upwards of 15 minutes now, replied the fox. So? Asked Jiraiya, wondering what Naruto was feeling. He said this could get me to 7 tails, and I should have 10 to 15 minutes in the four-tailed form, said Naruto. Good. That should be enough for the sound. Just as Jiraiya said that, Gamakichi returned. Looks to be about 20 or so sound ninja, said the small toad. Anyone in particular stand out? Asked Jiraiya. Yeah, there was this guy with gray hair and glasses that appeared to be the leader, said the toad. Kabuto, that's not good if he's here, growled Jiraiya. Anyone else? Yeah, there was this girl standing next to him that had red hair. I thought she sensed me, but hopefully I was wrong, said Gamakichi. Damn. They might just have an Uzumaki with them. Do you know if she was a prisoner or if she was working with them? Asked Jiraiya. Hate to say it, but she didn't look like a prisoner, said Gamakichi. Then that's not good. Naruto move, shouted Jiraiya. The two moved just in time to avoid a barrage of kunai and shuriken heading their way. Well, it looks like you were right, Karen. We weren't alone, said Kabuto as the two overlooked the location where Jiraiya and Naruto had been hiding out. What do you mean? Looks like. My mind's eye of the Kagura never lies, said a slightly frustrated Karen. Regardless, we can't have them alive, especially if one of them is Jiraiya of the Sannin and the other is the Kyuubi brat, said Kabuto. He turned to the squads of sound ninja that had accompanied them. Kill them. We'll take their corpses back to Orochimaru-sama and he'll surely reward you all. 16 sound ninja took off towards the location where Jiraiya and Naruto had retreated to, having received their location from the red-headed Karen. Kabuto, do you really think that they can beat Jiraiya of the Sannin? Asked Karen. No, but it will give us enough time to take a look around and gather the sealing scrolls. You know where the medical scrolls are, don't you? Asked Kabuto. Karen nodded, pointing towards the entrance to the Hall of Sealing. Naruto and Jiraiya were forced to scatter once again as a wave of sound ninja descended upon them. Shadow Clone Jutsu, shouted Naruto, creating dozens of clones. The clones engaged some of the sound ninja as some others got through the wave of orange and engaged Naruto and Jiraiya directly. Naruto ducked underneath a pair of thrown kunai only to find that his legs had been taken out from underneath him. He rolled just in time to avoid the slash of a sword that went through the air where he had been lying just a second ago. Naruto managed to regain some ground, now facing 10 of the sound ninja. His clones had only managed to incapacitate one of the sound ninja before they were defeated and Jiraiya was busy fending off the other 6 sound ninja. Naruto made another clone and the two nodded at each other. Naruto threw a few shuriken at the sound. To the sound, a few shuriken were nothing and they were practically laughing at the blonde's futile attempt. If only they had taken notes from their fallen comrades from the invasion during Konoha's Chunin exams. Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu. Futon. Gale Palm. Naruto and his clone shouted in unison. Before the sound could eat their laughter, the few shuriken turned into 200 shuriken before they were picked up by the gust of wind and sent hurling at an increased velocity towards the unsuspecting sound. The shuriken were too fast for most of them to react to and only the few sound that were able to shield themselves with their comrades were able to survive the assault. 3 sound ninja were forced to retreat, not wanting to face another barrage of shuriken from one little boy. Naruto looked over to see that Jiraiya had easily dispatched his attackers. Of course they were no match for a Sannin. Ha! Arrow Sennin! Shouted Naruto, pointing towards the hall to see Kabuto and Karen enter the chamber. Both Jiraiya and Naruto took off towards the 2 sound, hoping to stop them from obtaining any of the Uzumaki sealing knowledge. Kabuto and Karen ducked just in time to avoid a pair of kunai whiz over their heads. When they looked behind them, they saw Naruto and Jiraiya running towards them. The two ran further into the chamber, hoping to beat the 2 Konoha ninja past the blood seals. Enough time my ass, swore Karen. Were almost to one of the main doors when two puffs of smoke appeared in front of them, revealing Naruto and Jiraiya in front of them. Rasengan! Shouted Naruto, catching Kabuto unexpectedly in the stomach and sending him flying out of the hall. Jiraiya's methods were a lot less damaging as he simply had to tackle Karen, sending her into the Jiraiya and Naruto that were originally chasing them. The Jiraiya and Naruto that were restraining Karen disappeared, revealing them to be nothing more than shadow clones while the two kunai had been Naruto and Jiraiya transformed. The real Naruto and Jiraiya looked behind Karen to see an obviously injured Kabuto forcing himself to his feet, having thrown a pair of knives at the shadow clones. I must say, Naruto, that attack of yours, is really something, said Kabuto, regaining his breath. It made me look at my own self-regeneration since our last meeting and try to improve it. He stood up straight, still in obvious pain, but not compared to the last time he got hit with a Rasengan. The three-sound ninja who managed to escape from Naruto and Jiraiya found their way back to the camp, where a heavily restrained orange-haired man was sitting and talking to himself about killing something. Are you sure we should be doing this? What happens if he just goes berserk and kills all of us? Asked one of the sound. We don't have any other option. There is no way we can take on one of the Sannin without Jugo, said another sound as he reached the cage Jugo was contained in. He began unlocking the locks on the cage. What are you doing? Stop that before I lose it and kill you, shouted Jugo as two of the sound ignored his warnings and kept unlocking the cage. The third sound just stood back and grinned. This should take care of Jiraiya and the Kyuubi brat, thought the third sound ninja. Go, now, before, I, said Jugo, clutching his head as the last of the restraints were removed from him. Before the two sounds could react, a gray, transformed arm shot out, grabbing the head of one of the sound ninja. I'm gonna kill you. He swung the first sound ninja into the second, sending them flying back, but not before his transformed fist made contact with their stomachs, smashing both of the two sound ninja. He turned to the third sound ninja. And now, I'm going to kill you too. Please Jugo, there is no need for that, said the sound ninja, unmasking himself to reveal his identity as Kabuto. Jugo stopped mid-swing at Kabuto. Kabuto was one of the very few people that he could manage to restrain himself against. But, if you really want to kill someone, there is a particular blonde boy who I believe was a part of the team that killed Kimimaro. Kimimaro, said Jugo as he seemed to calm down, but also in shock. He's dead. Yes Jugo. I am sorry. He was sent to acquire Orochimaru's next reincarnation, Uchiha Sasuke, but was killed by the blonde kid and his team, said Kabuto. I am truly sorry. I know how close the two of you were. Kimimaro, said Jugo before the transformation fully began to take over his body. Where is he? I'll kill him. Kabuto pointed in the direction of Naruto and Jiraiya and Jugo took off, screaming, I'm going to kill him. Naruto and Jiraiya were facing Kabuto and Karen, trying to figure out what exactly it was that they wanted. Well, perhaps I will tell you, after all, you won't be alive much longer, said Kabuto with his usual smug demeanor. You see, Orochimaru-sama was pretty upset with what you did to his arms almost 2 months ago. So you're here to get hold of some medical seal to regrow his arms, asked Jiraiya. You catch on quickly, said Kabuto as he grabbed Karen and shoved her into a cubby in the wall. Before Naruto and Jiraiya could react, there was an explosion as shards of rock came flying towards them. I'm going to kill you, shouted Jugo as he burst through the wall and charged at Naruto. Naruto barely had enough time to brace himself for the incoming punches he was sent flying through the roof and out of the chamber. Jiraiya looked on, slightly horrified at the thing that had just smacked Naruto. So he was correct that Orochimaru had sent one of those freaks with Kabuto. He looked over to see Karen running out of chamber as well and something that resembled Kabuto slumped over a rock. Before going to check on Naruto himself, he took a good look at Kabuto, and found that it was only a corpse that had been disguised as Kabuto. The real Kabuto had to be somewhere around here and he was sure Karen knew where he was. Unfortunately, he had to go check on Naruto to see if the blonde had survived that gruesome impact from a transformed Jugo. Jiraiya followed the Naruto-shaped hole in the roof to find said blonde picking himself out of the rubble and clutching his side as Jugo faced him, ranting on about killing. Naruto, shouted Jiraiya, making his way to Naruto's side. Ga! grunted Naruto as he clutched his side in pain. What the hell is that? That would be one of those freaks I was talking about. And to make it worse, Kabuto and that red-headed chick got away, said Jiraiya. What? Then we have to stop them, said Naruto. I know. But we can't have Ugly here beating on us while trying to find those two, said Jiraiya. I'll go try and find Kabuto. Think the two of you can take care of the freak here? Asked Jiraiya. Naruto knew he was referring to him and the Kyuubi. Naruto, like I said, you're no match for them by yourself. But, if you use the fox, you can take him. Just try not to destroy too much or get yourself killed, okay? Naruto nodded and Jiraiya took off to go find the other sound. What do you want? Asked Kurama. You said 10 minutes in the four-tailed cloak, right? Asked Naruto. Kurama nodded in response. Well then, hit him hard and fast, I say. Sounds good, kid, replied Kurama as he began to flood Naruto's system with demonic chakra. Jugo looked on in surprise at the transformation Naruto was undergoing. When the transformation was complete, a miniature blood-red fox with 4 tails stood in front of him. He wasn't the only one with some sort of special transformation. Now I'm really going to kill you, shouted Jugo as he ran at high speeds towards Naruto. His fist was caught by Naruto. He transformed it even further, forming a few chakra thrusters coming out of his elbow as he drove his fist into Naruto at an even greater force than before. This was enough to send the cloaked Naruto back into a pile of debris. Damn, he hits hard, thought Naruto. Yeah, for once I get to have a little bit of fun, smiled the Kyuubi. Glad to have somewhat of a challenge for the first time in years. Naruto picked himself out of the debris and faced Jugo. He then disappeared, using his increased speed when in the Kyuubi cloaks catch an unsuspecting Jugo by surprise, sending him into the air. A few chakra arms followed the flying Jugo and continued the barrage while Jugo struggled to regain himself. After a few shots, Jugo finally managed to somehow regain himself and began to block Naruto's blows. The two then continued their melee. Karen was making a run for the sound camp, hoping to rendezvous with Kabuto. Suddenly, she felt something slimy wrap around her. When she looked to see what had caught her, she was freaked out to see that it was the tongue of a frog that had her. Got you, grinned Jiraiya. He spoke a little too late when Karen disappeared in a puff of smoke to be replaced by a few rocks. Karen was hiding behind a collapsed wall, trying to conceal herself the best she could. She knew that there was no way she could handle one of the Sannin, the same group of ninja Orochimaru had descended from. Her best bet was to hide and wait. Karen nearly freaked out when she felt someone's hand clasp her mouth. She turned, wondering if she had been caught, only to realize that it was Kabuto, thankfully. Well, someone has to be happy to see him, shish. Orochimaru-sama's not going to like this, but even I don't think we are going to be able to get past those two, said Kabuto. But what about Jugo? Surely his rage can kill them. Once he does, then we can get through, said Karen. Jugo has his hands full with something even I didn't expect, said Kabuto, referring to Naruto being able to control so much Kyuubi chakra. Just focus your sensing in that direction and you'll see what I mean. Karen nodded and focused on her sensory abilities, hoping that wouldn't give away their position. What she felt startled her. She could feel Jugo's chakra and the signature it gave out when he was transformed, but there was something else. There was another chakra signature that was fighting with him, and this chakra was enormous and demonic. She had never felt anything like that and she was honestly scared for her life. Kabuto was doing his best to try and calm her down, not wanting to give away their position. However, something else caught Kabuto's eye as he reached underneath a pile of rubble to pull out a scroll. Well, perhaps this wasn't a complete waste after all, he said, reading the scroll. What? Asked Karen, wondering what was on the scroll. Hey, who knew the Uzumakis were capable of something like this? Responded Kabuto, congratulating himself on his luck. We might not have found a way to give Orochimaru-sama his arms back, but perhaps this will more than make up for it. Outside their hiding place, Jiraiya was forced to jump to the side as Jugo came sailing through the air, crashing through the building Kabuto and Karen were hiding in. Kabuto and Karen had managed to regain themselves, after nearly being crushed to death by the falling debris. Naruto appeared before Jugo and the two were deadlocked, matched now in a battle of strength. Out of Jugo's back came over a dozen chakra cannons that were quickly gathering chakra. Karen and Kabuto barely had time to duck for cover before the cannons exploded on Naruto, sending him flying back into a pile of rubble. Unfortunately for Jugo, Naruto picked himself out of the rubble. Karen and Kabuto made their way behind Jugo and Jiraiya working his way out of the fight. Right now, there was no way he would be able to get Kabuto or Karen without risking getting hit by Jugo, or even Naruto in this case. Kit, let's just end this now before that perverted teacher of yours gets himself caught in the crossfire, said Kurama. Naruto agreed and he began to gather balls of chakra from the air and condensing them into one ball. Karen panicked as her sensory abilities picked up on the energy contained within the ball. Jugo sensed this energy as well and was about to run, but somehow his conscience caught up with him when he realized that Karen and Kabuto were right behind him. Instead of trying to dodge the incoming attack, he began to transform himself into a more shield-like figure, hoping to save Karen and Kabuto as his senses came to him. Naruto unleashed the tailed beast ball upon Jugo, and when the explosion cleared, Kabuto and Karen had managed to survive by hiding behind an unconscious and hurting Jugo. Jugo had managed to survive the attack, but not without taking considerable damage. There was no way he would be able to fight for a while now. Naruto recalled the four-tailed cloak, somewhat exhausted, but nothing like before. The loosening of the seal had managed to relieve most of the strain on his body and he was still able to hold himself together rather well after using the Kyuubi's chakra. Like I said, you won't be getting your hands on the Uzumaki scrolls, said Jiraiya, joining Naruto's side. Sadly it appears you're right. I guess we will be taking our leave now, said Kabuto, grabbing an unconscious Jugo. He shot the two-leaf ninja one of his signature smirks, indicating that this was more than them just giving up. Jiraiya had that feeling in his gut that they had managed to find something after all, but he didn't quite know what. Before he could make a move to capture or kill the three sound, a tremor was heard felt in the ground and a large snake appeared underneath them, taking the three sound off the island. I've got a bad feeling, thought Jiraiya. He turned to Naruto. Not bad, Naruto. You're controlling the Kyuubi chakra rather well. Really? Said Naruto, regaining most of his energy. Yep. Oh, and that reminds me, I need to talk to you about that, said Jiraiya. That was the part Naruto was hoping Jiraiya would forget in the midst of all the action. But before that, we need to go reapply the blood seals and add a few more. What do you mean by a few more? Shouldn't the blood seals be enough? Asked Naruto. Normally, I would say yes. But it appears as if Orochimaru does have an Uzumaki working with him. As such, a normal blood seal won't secure the Uzumaki scrolls from him. However, I do have some of that girl's hair and I can use it to modify the blood seals so that they will allow any Uzumaki in, except for her, explained Jiraiya. Without saying much more, Jiraiya and Naruto left to go and reapply the seals. Later that night, Jiraiya and Naruto were back at their camp, enjoying their last night in the wilderness before the fishermen they had hired came and got them. While Jiraiya didn't have ramen on board, the waters surrounding the island were filled with fish and it wasn't hard for them to catch a bounty from the sea. While they were eating, Jiraiya used this time to discuss a few things with Naruto, something the blonde wasn't really looking forward to. Naruto, do you remember what I said to you on our last training trip? About using the Kyuubi's power? Asked Jiraiya. Naruto recalled that Jiraiya had told him not to rely on the Kyuubi's too much. Good. Now, while the past few events have been exceptions, I just want to reiterate that I don't want you relying on that power. But why Ero Sennin? I've only used the Kyuubi's power when my friends were in danger and well, now, said Naruto. I understand that, but now that you can use a little more of the Kyuubi's power I just need to make sure you understand what it is you are dealing with, said Jiraiya. I told you back during the trip to Getsuan that we need for you to be strong on your own, not with the help of the Kyuubi. You understand me, right? Yeah, but. Naruto was interrupted. Just hold on, I was getting to that. Your dad sealed the Kyuubi inside you to give you a power that you could use to protect the village. And up till now, you've done good restraining yourself to using it, only using that power when your friends and comrades were in life or death situations. I just want you to promise me that you won't get carried away with the Kyuubi's power. Only using it is a last resort and only if you or your comrades will die unless you use that power, said Jiraiya. Don't worry Ero Sennin. I won't let it go to my head. I'll only use the Kyuubi when my friends are in danger, said Naruto. It's not just danger, kid. As a ninja, you have many tools under your belt to deal with various situations. Different tools that can be used to handle different situations. There are many dangers that can be handled correctly by using the correct tools. The Kyuubi's power is one of those tools, but it is one that should only be used as an absolute last resort. Only used if there is no other way to save your friends, said Jiraiya. Do you understand where I'm going? Yeah, I think I do. Basically, don't rely on the Kyuubi unless people are going to die, said Naruto. Sadly, even I agree with the pervert on that one, Kit. My power's not to be taken lightly. I can do a lot, helping you. But, once the results of my power have been felt, there will be consequences. Some good, some bad. I cannot tell you what they will be, but there will be consequences of both kinds. The good consequences will seem to outweigh the bad at first, but it won't be too hard to make the bad consequences outweigh the good, advised Kurama. Now, normally I would do everything in my power to influence you into using my power and eventually using it to try and get you to free me in some way, but I don't want to. I want to try this way, as I already know the consequences of what will happen if I try and force my way out. Alright, thanks for that, responded Naruto to the fox, before turning his attention back to Jiraiya. Don't worry Ero Sennin, I'll think next time before using the Kyuubi chakra. Good. Now, getting back to what we can do about you, the Fuinjutsu you are learning is more of a supplementary art. You won't be able to use it that much in combat until you become more proficient in it, so we've also got to focus on your ninjutsu and taijutsu, said Jiraiya. And the sword too, right, said an excited Naruto. Maybe. I'll teach you the sword, but I don't quite think you are the sword type, said Jiraiya. Naruto sent him a pleading look. But, that doesn't mean it won't hurt for you to learn how to use one. Anyways, back to the Uzumaki Taijutsu, it is a powerful form of taijutsu once mastered. We don't have the time to teach you right now, but we will once we leave for a few years. Hey Ero Sennin, about the trip, how long will we be gone for? And what will I be learning? Asked Naruto. Well, we'll leave after the Chunin exams and we will be gone for at least 2 years, but possibly a bit longer. As for what you will be learning, to put it simple, a lot. You'll be learning everything from taijutsu and ninjutsu, to advanced sealing, hopefully. There is a reason why I'm letting you participate in these Chunin exams, and it is the same reason why Sasuke and Sakura are also being allowed to, instead of waiting till after your time of training, said Jiraiya. Really? I thought you were just giving us another chance to get promoted again, said Naruto. Well, that is a possibility. You may be promoted, but what Kakashi, Tsunade, and I really want to see is where the three of you are at before we really get started and what desperately needs to be improved, said Jiraiya. Okay, but I'm still going to get Chunin this time, declared Naruto. I'm not going to stay at Genin forever. Hey, anyways I do have something you can work on, but first let's see how your wind chakra is, said Jiraiya. Naruto nodded and took out a kunai knife, ready to show Jiraiya his improvement. He waited a moment, channeling the chakra into his regular kunai before throwing it at a collapsed wall. When he released the kunai, it shot through the wall and even the wall behind it. So I see you've pretty much got that down. Well then, I think it's time for a new jutsu, don't you? Really? What sort of cool jutsu will it be this time? Bounced Naruto. Jiraiya handed Naruto a scroll. Futon. Great breakthrough, said Jiraiya. It's a C-rank jutsu and an improved version of your Gale Palm that releases a more condensed and powerful blast of air at a target. Why don't you work on that for a little and if you manage to get it down before the exams, well I'll let you pick the next wind jutsu you want to learn. Really? What kinds of jutsu can I pick? Asked Naruto. I'll tell you what. If you can master that jutsu and you can show either myself or Tsunade, if I'm not around, we'll let you pick out a B-rank wind jutsu from the village jutsu library, said Jiraiya. Really? A B rank. Just watch, Ero Sennin, I'll have this jutsu done by the end of the week. Tabeo, exclaimed Naruto. Whoa there, we've still got to travel back to Konoha. And there are still 4 weeks till the exams. I'll tell you what. If you can get that jutsu done within a week of returning to Konoha, Then that will give you a good 2 to 3 weeks to work on that new jutsu. But for now, go to bed. We've got to get up early to meet the fisherman, said Jiraiya. Chapter 45. Revelations. What? These are. Yep. The ramen recipes of the Uzumaki, said Naruto, showing that black book to Teuchi upon arriving back in Konoha. I know, but every ramen chef has thought these recipes lost. I can't believe I'm actually holding them, replied Teuchi reading through the recipes. Teuchi couldn't stop shaking his hands and he was practically crying at the fortune that had just presented itself. Where did you get these? I kind of found them in my great-grandfather's locker in Uzushiogakure no Sato, said Naruto. Teuchi's eyes picked up by Naruto's mentioning of a family member. Naruto had never actually referred to an actual family member in the past. So you know, don't you? Said Teuchi, reaching under his counter into a locked drawer. Yeah, Ero Sennin told me, said Naruto. But how do you know? I've known you were their child. Back before you were born, those two were practically inseparable and they were two of my best customers. I knew your mother was pregnant with a child and after I saw you for the first time, after you told me your name I began to put the pieces together, explained Teuchi. Besides, you look just like him. I'm surprised no one else has figured out. Yeah, but they probably just saw me for what was inside me, said Naruto, lowering his head. Teuchi gave Naruto a few reassuring words. So do you think you can make those recipes for me, old man? These are some of the greatest ramen recipes in history. Of course I'll make them. Who wouldn't? I'm just honored that you're letting me be the one to make them, said Teuchi. Well, Ichiraku is the best, so who else would make them the way they are supposed to be besides you, said Naruto, smiling. Just for that, I'll make you a bowl on the house. For the Uzumaki recipes though, I need to get the ingredients, but I promise you'll be the first to have a bowl of Ikiraku's new Uzumaki-style ramen, said Teuchi, plopping down a bowl of Naruto's favorite ramen. Ah, there you are. Why am I not surprised, said Jiraiya, entering Ichiraku to find Naruto. Come on, now's no time for ramen. We've got to go see Tsunade and tell her about the events that happened. Naruto groaned while leaving the stand, but not before Teuchi handed Naruto a familiar blue book. That was your mother's. She actually completed it about 4 months before you were born at my shop, said Teuchi, handing Naruto his mother's ramen passport before he left. None of what you're saying is very comforting, Jiraiya, said Tsunade. Naruto and Jiraiya were in Tsunade's office, describing the confrontation they had with the Sound and Kabuto. And the worst part is that I'm certain we kept them from getting access to the archives, but I've still got a feeling that Kabuto managed to find something. He had that look, said Jiraiya. I know what you mean. Orochimaru's always been a slimy bastard. Always managing to get away with something no matter how much we try and stop him, said Suand. Anyways, we don't have any leads on where Orochimaru may be hiding, so unfortunately all we can do now is sit back until your spy network uncovers something. Yeah, anyways we actually made some good progress before Kabuto's intervention. I did tell Naruto what I said I was going to say and we actually discovered something about his heritage that was surprising, said Jiraiya. Tsunade's eyebrow raised in interest. The brat here is actually the great-great-grandson of the Shadaime Uzukage, Shuichi Uzumaki. Really? Said Tsunade. You know, I've gotten to the point where nothing about him would surprise me anymore, and yet he still surprises me. Hey, that's not all. Check out the goodies we found, said Jiraiya, unsealing a scroll, revealing the Uzumaku Shio no Ken that they uncovered in the lockers. Is that? Said Tsunade, her eyes widening. Yep, the Uzumaki Shio no Ken. The famed sword of the Uzumakis that was thought lost decades ago, said Jiraiya. Suand unsheathed the sword and looked on in amazement. This was definitely the sword of the Uzumakis. And Ero Sennin said he'd teach me Kenjutsu, exclaimed Naruto. Suand got a laugh out of that. What's so funny, Bachan? Nothing, brat. Just you, the sword type. I don't see it, said Tsunade, trying to control her laughter. Jiraiya and Shizune's sweat dropped as they knew all too well what was coming. Oh yeah. Well I think I am, exclaimed Naruto. I know you're not and I'm willing to bet you're not, said Tsunade. Fine. This just means that I am the sword type. After all, you're not too good at winning bets, Bachan, said Naruto. Alright brat, if you can come back after your training trip and honestly tell me that you prefer fighting with the sword after your couple of years with this old pervert, then I'll admit that perhaps you're the sword type and I'll even buy you a month's supply of ramen. And if not, well, you've still got a lot of money left from our last casino adventure, so if you're not, then you owe 7,000 ryo, said Tsunade. Just enough for a case of my favorite sake. Fine, you've got a bet, Bachan. I'm going to enjoy an entire month of free ramen when I get back. Tabeo! Exclaimed Naruto, shaking Tsunade's hand, sealing the bet. Jiraiya coughed. Tsunade snapped back out of Vegas. Anyways, how is the progress with the sealing research? Asked Tsunade. Good. I might have found something, but I need to discuss that with you since it's a type of medical seal, said Jiraiya. Tsunade nodded. Also, Naruto's made some pretty good progress. He's actually more than proficient with storage seals and we started explosive seals. For a month's time, he's come really far. Good. I look forward to seeing how far he's come in the exams coming up in 3 weeks, assuming he can go, said Tsunade. Huh, why wouldn't I be able to go? Asked Naruto. Because, I can't get a hold of Kakashi or Sasuke, and knowing Kakashi, he'll show up the day after the exam starts, said Tsunade. Dealing with Kakashi's habitual tardiness was not the highlight of her career as Hokage. Actually, that's where I would win the bet. I'm sure Kakashi will be back in 2 weeks' time, said Jiraiya. Really? And why's that? Asked Tsunade. Jiraiya pulled a book out from his pack, a red-bound Ika Ika book, the same one he finished at the beginning of their trip. Is that more of your smut? Asked Tsunade. It's not smut, defended Jiraiya. Naruto nodded with Tsunade, supporting her. Anyways, my next book is scheduled to be released in 2 weeks' time, and if I know Kakashi, he'll be back in time for the release. Sadly, I actually agree with you. Alright, Naruto, you've got 2 weeks then until I order the reconvening of your team for the exams, said Tsunade. Great. 2 weeks where I can train, said Naruto. I've got to get this jutsu down so that you'll let me chose a B rank wind jutsu. Haha, and who said you'd have time to train? Laughed Tsunade. You've been gone for a month, training, and you're going to be gone for a few years, training. Nope, I've got a mission for you, so report to my office tomorrow at 9 a.m. Naruto sighed and groaned as he left the office. His only hope now was to get the jutsu done while he was on his mission and then get the new B-rank jutsu and do nothing but focus on it until the Chunin exams. Jiraiya left the office as well and Tsunade heard a knock on the door. Her 3 p.m. appointment was here. Come in, she said. In stepped a man and what appeared to be his son. They both had pale eyes, marking them as Hyuga. Ah, Hyuga Kenjo and Hyuga Shinji, what can I do for you? The elder Hyuga spoke up. Hokage-sama. As you know, the Chunin exams are coming up in 3 weeks. While I understand that my son's team has not been nominated for the exams, his sensei did comment that Shinji here is in fact ready for the exams. I'd like to request that he be assigned to a temporary team for the purpose of taking the exams, said Kenjo. Tsunade thought for a moment. She didn't like dealing with Hyugas all that much, especially the main branch Hyuga. The branch members were fine and Hiashi was tolerable, but the rest of the main branch was, well, arrogant and prideful as hell. While I would like to honor your request, you are aware that teams consist of 3 members. And unfortunately, at this point in time, we don't have enough genin where I can put together a 3-man squad for these exams. I understand that is how you usually approach these situations, gathering together 3 unteamed genin and forming a team from them, but is it not possible to place Shinji on a team that already has 2 members? I believe Team Asuma is short 1 member because of the promotion of Nara Shikamaru after the last exam, said Kenjo. Damn, said Tsunade. She was hoping that Kenjo would just drop it there, although she knew he wouldn't. It was true that Asuma had recommended his team last week for the exams, or at least the remaining 2 members that were not Chunin. It was also true that he was looking for a 3rd member. What would most likely happen is that if she denied Kenjo's request now, he would go to the village council and get them on her ass for why she did not assign Shinji to a 2-man team that was in the process of looking for a 3rd member. It would be a major headache for her, one she did not want at this point. So Hokage-sama, is it possible we could assign Shinji here with Yamanaka Ino and Akamaiki Choji on Sarutobi Asuma's team? Pressed Kenjo. Tsunade gave in, not wanting to get the council on her case. Very well, I will speak with Asuma and arrange for a few times for Shinji, Ino, and Choji to meet and work on their teamwork. Speaking of which, Shinji, for the team, teamwork is the most important attribute, do you understand me? If you are to join the team, then you must show that you can work well with Ino and Choji. I understand, Hokage-sama. I'll try my best to find my place on the team, said Shinji. He and his father gave Tsunade a quick bow before leaving the office. Asuma's going to hate me, thought Tsunade. Damn it, why does Hinata have to be on a mission today? And to make it worse, Bachan said she's got a mission that will take me all of these next few weeks, so I won't get to see her until then. And even then, everyone's going to be focused on the upcoming Chunin exams. And it's even starting to get late. I guess I could get training, but it won't be anything like if I were to have an entire day, thought Naruto, dragging himself towards the training grounds. Naruto. Naruto heard a familiar voice coming from behind him. He turned around to see his pink-haired teammate hastily walking towards him. Sakura. What are you doing here? Asked Naruto. Wait, did you cut your hair or something? Sakura looked at Naruto, a little confused, but then realized that Naruto hadn't seen her new haircut. She had it only at about neck length now, instead of mid-back length. Oh yeah, I did. I actually kind of like it. Honestly, I only grew it out as a way to get Sasuke's attention, but I figured I should worry about my shinobi training before worrying about growing my hair. Anyways, I just got done with my work for today. Suan Shiso let me off early because she said she had a mission for me tomorrow, said Sakura. Huh, really? She said she had a mission for me as well. Do you think we are on the same mission? Asked Naruto. Well, I would suppose. I mean, we are on the same team. Hey, speaking of which, have you seen Sasuke at all? There are some rumors going around about his disappearance around the same time you left with Jiraiya-sama. Something about leaving with a snake pedophile or something, said Sakura. Huh. Someone spreading rumors about Sasuke leaving for Orochimaru, asked Naruto. That would never happen. I mean, you were there when we fought with Orochimaru's freaks. In what world would Sasuke ever betray us for that snake? Yeah, don't remind me. Watching Sasuke nearly die, even if he was trying to save me, is not something I want to remember. Besides, my side is still slightly sore from that, said Sakura, clasping a hand over her left ribcage. So anyways, what have you been up to? Naruto looked surprised at Sakura. For once, she was showing a hint of interest in what he had been doing. You know, traveling with Ero Sennin, training and finding out about my ancestors, said Naruto. Ancestors. Sakura looked at Naruto with a bewildered look on her face. This was the first time Naruto had ever referred to family. As far as they knew, he was an orphan with no family since he was born. Yeah, Ero Sennin and I went to Uzushiogakure and there he taught me about Fuinjutsu and my ancestors. I even found out who my mother. Naruto stopped there. Ero Sennin had said he could discuss his mother, but he couldn't talk about his father. That would still need to remain a secret. Your mother? Asked Sakura. Yeah, she was really beautiful and had long red hair. And I heard she was one hell of a kunoichi, said Naruto. Naruto told Sakura a few other things he heard about his mother, leaving out the Jinchuriki part. Wow. That's great that you found out about your mother and that she turned out to be who she was. So did you learn anything about your father? Asked Sakura. Naruto slightly panicked. In truth, he wanted to tell everyone. He wanted everyone to know he was the Yondaim's son. He wanted to see the look on every villager's face. It would be like the ultimate prank on the village, but he promised Jiraiya he wouldn't say anything. No, I still can't find anything on my father. My mother was orphaned as a baby when Uzushiogakure was destroyed and she was brought to the village as a young child, so my father was probably a ninja of this village at some point in time, but I don't know who he was, said Naruto, doing his best to act sad and depressed. Naruto, I'm sorry for bringing that up, apologized Sakura. It's okay, Sakura. I'm just happy I know who my mom is, said Naruto, giving her a grin. So what have you been up to this past month? UHG, don't ask. Tsunade Shisho is an excellent teacher, but there's just so much. I've been spending practically every day from dawn until dusk studying everything there is on medicine. I swear I spend more time studying now than I ever did back in the academy, but it's been worth it. My chakra control's gotten so much better and she's even begun to teach me some actual medical ninjutsu, replied Sakura. Wow, that's great, exclaimed Naruto. It sounds like you're going to be ready for the upcoming exams. I hope so. I think I've finally found what I'm good at, something that won't make me a burden to the two of you, said Sakura, trailing off. Sakura, you've never been a burden. What made you think that? Asked Naruto. Well, to be honest, you and Sasuke have always been getting stronger and stronger at a pace that I thought I could never catch. And then against those sound freaks, I wasn't able to do much besides nearly get Sasuke killed, said a depressed Sakura. Nonsense, if it wasn't for you, I might have been seriously hurt there, said Naruto. Sakura picked her head up and looked at him. I knew that six-armed guy had me trapped and I wouldn't have been able to free myself in time if it wasn't for your genjutsu. So thank you for that. You're not a burden, you were just missing what you were really good at and I think you've found it. You're going to get really strong, I know it. So strong that everyone, even Sasuke will have to take notice, said Naruto, offering Sakura the nice guy pose. Naruto, thank you. I'm giving up on being one of Sasuke's fangirls, Sakura said. Naruto looked at her confused. But that doesn't mean you should give up on Sasuke, said Naruto. I'm not. I'm just taking a note from you and Hinata, said Sakura, earning a questioning look from Naruto. The two of you have been there for each other, supporting each other and helping one another no matter what life has thrown at you and you ended up together. I'm not giving up on Sasuke, but being one of his fangirls has done nothing but hinder my ninja training. I think that's what he wants, someone who is themselves and can help him, not hold him back. So that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a kick-ass medical ninja and do whatever I can to truly help him. It's kind of a win-win. And if you need any help from me, don't be afraid to ask. I've held you back as well and I'm done doing so. Naruto couldn't help but smile at Sakura's newfound resolve. That is until she began talking again. Now, about you, Fuinjutsu. You. Seriously, what have you been up to this past month? What? No really, I've been studying Fuinjutsu, said Naruto. Come on, Naruto. Fuinjutsu is even more scholarly than medicine and I've never seen you as the scholarly type, argued Sakura. What is wrong with everyone? First Shizune and now you. Why doesn't everyone believe I'm learning Fuinjutsu? Asked a pouting Naruto. Not to mention the furball inside my head. I swear I couldn't get him to stop laughing the entire trip. I'll even show you, watch. Naruto pulled out a scroll and began to scribe a more advanced storage seal. He took his own equipment and Sakura's equipment and sealed them within the scroll. Sakura just stared in awe. Naruto wasn't lying about the Fuinjutsu part. He really could make his own seals. I've only started my training and can only do storage seals and explosive seals, but Ero Sennin even said that's pretty advanced for someone who's only been studying it for a month. Oh, that reminds me, are you eventually going to learn medical seals? Yeah, Shisho told me she would begin teaching me once I've mastered a few more medical jutsu. Why? Asked Sakura. Because my great-grandfather had a lot of seals that he passed on to me and I think some of them were medical seals. I can take a look through them and give them to you if you want. I'm sure you could find them useful, said Naruto. Really? Are you sure? I mean those are your family's seals, said Sakura. If this wasn't Naruto, she would be in disbelief for someone offering her advanced Uzumaki seals. Even she had heard of the sealing prowess of the Uzumakas. She supposed that's why Naruto was actually good at sealing, because his last name was Uzumaki. Yeah, I mean you would have more use for them. I might be learning Fuinjutsu, but I don't think medical seals are my specialty. I might look into them, but nowhere near the extent you will, said Naruto. With that Naruto left to try and get in some training for the day on his new Winjutsu. Sakura looked on as Naruto left. She couldn't help but feel jealous about a lot of things that involved Naruto. Team Guy was the only other team in the Konoha 13 that was still in Konoha. Team 8 and Team 10 were both on missions and Team 7 was still considered disbanded. Guy had been pushing his team to the bone to prepare them for the upcoming Chunin exams which they would also be participating in. Unfortunately for Neji, Lee, and Tenten, Guy had turned these Chunin exams into another competition with Kakashi. The winner would be the teacher with the most students to be promoted Chunin from the exams. As such, he had been spending as much free time working with and preparing his team. Of course for Neji and Tenten, this meant workouts that, in all reality, only Lee could keep up with. However, all three of them were determined to do their best until the Chunin exams so that they would all be promoted. That was the goal all three of them had set, was to see that they finally made Chunin, and make their sensei or families proud of them. When the workout for the day came to an end, Neji and Tenten found the two of them collapsed on the ground, completely exhausted. Lee, on the other hand, was still bouncing off of trees as he was finishing his self-imposed part of the workout. Neji, I don't think I can get up, grunted Tenten. Her entire body was sore and exhausted. Neji managed to get to his feet, although still a little shaky. He then offered a hand to Tenten and helped her up, having to help support her so her legs wouldn't give out from exhaustion. Guy-sensei's really been overworking us, hasn't he? Yes, but I agree with him that we need to be ready for these exams. From what I understand, the Kumo exams are different from our own, said Neji. Tenten asked why and Neji answered. From what I've been told, there are more people in these exams and as such, the tests are more demanding as a result. Of course we will all do fine, but a little preparation never hurt. Tell that to my legs, arms, and back, replied Tenten. This actually earned a rare laugh from Neji. Guy-sensei may be a little extreme, but he truly does care for our progress and he truly wants to see us succeed, said Neji. If a little hard work means a promotion, then I would gladly run laps on my hands with Lee before sunrise. What's gotten into you, mister? Fate determines everything, joked Tenten. Ever since the first exams, you've been more open to working for things and less into fate and everything. It's like Lee's brushed off on you. Naruto. Huh? Asked Tenten. What about Naruto? He's the one who opened my eyes for once. He showed me the truth of believing in oneself. He and Lee are alike in that respect and it took a little bit of what Naruto gave me to get Lee back to the point he's at now, said Neji. Why, do you ask? Is there something wrong with me? No, just that you've changed quite a lot over the past months. I kind of like it, said Tenten, blushing slightly. You've become more respectful, stronger, and even a bit more handsome. Huh? What was that last part? Asked Neji. Oh, nothing really, said Tenten, laughing that last comment of and trying to hide her blush. A minute or two later, the two arrived at Tenten's father's shop and they went their separate ways. Neji arrived back at the Hyuga compound where his uncle was waiting for him. Neji, we need to talk about something, said Hiyashi. He led his nephew to his study. What is it you need to talk to me about, uncle? Asked Neji. There are a few things I need to discuss. All of them revolving around the upcoming Chunin exams, said Hiyashi. As you know, the exams are at Kumogakure no Sato. I hate to bring this up, but you remember the incident 9 years ago regarding Kumo and our clan. Neji didn't want to remember, but he did. That was the incident that had taken his father from him as a boy. He had forgiven the main branch as he learned the real reason why his father was offered to Kumo in Hiyashi's place, but he still hadn't forgiven Kumo. While they may have agreed not to take any action towards trying to steal the Byakugan, I still don't quite trust them. You think they could target Hinata? Asked Neji. I do. Normally, I would not have allowed her to participate in these exams, but she personally requested that I allow her to compete a few weeks ago. She's becoming more confident with herself, ever since she and Naruto began spending more time together. Last Chunin exam, interrupted Neji. Yes. And as seen from her last spar with Hanabi, it's still a fragile confidence. I couldn't afford to break it by refusing her request to participate. Not to mention, she needs as many opportunities to prove herself to the elders. If she can make Chunin at these exams, it will help sway the elders in her favor, said Hiyashi. At least enough to give her some more breathing room with them. They are still coming onto her pretty hard, aren't they? Asked Neji. Yes. I'm afraid that no matter how strong she may find she can become, she will always be seen as weak by them for being kind and gentle. The elders favor a strict leader who can keep the traditional values of the clan in line, the type of person I fear they are manipulating Hanabi into, said Hiyashi. Well, isn't there anything we can do? Asked Neji. For you, just keep an eye out for Hinata. The two of you have grown closer and she sees you as an older brother. If there is anyone in the clan she trusts, it's you. Just do what you can to help her. I want her to become the person this clan deserves as a leader. One who is strong, yet kind and fair. Besides, I'm sure you won't be alone with this. I'm certain Naruto would help you if you simply ask. I'm glad that he finally saw my daughter's true feeling for him, said Hiashi. Uncle, about that, I have a great deal of respect for Naruto, but there is a lot about him that is still a mystery. In particular, why you have had no opposition to him dating Hinata-sama, said Neji. I hate to sound like this, but Naruto's an orphan, whose heritage is unknown except for the fact that he came from some family in the Uzumaki clan. He's been hated by the village for, well how do I put this? Hiashi sighed. So you know, don't you? Asked Hiashi. Neji nodded. How did you find out? It during our fight months ago. When he called upon that weird chakra. I knew I felt it before, even if it was a long time ago. And then, I saw it, with my Byakugan. It was. Neji was hushed by Hiashi. It still is forbidden to speak about that, said Hiashi. I am sorry uncle, I didn't mean to, said Neji. No matter, the question now is, how do you feel about Naruto after knowing that? Asked Hiashi. I sincerely regret what I said to him back in the exams. It explains a lot about him and I never expected him to have to bear such a burden. I actually find myself respecting him more for it, said Neji. But why him? Why burden him with that fate? Neji, no matter how powerful a shinobi the Yondaime was, it was the only way to save the village, said Hiashi. I should know, we were on a team together. I don't wish to speak on this matter anymore, just know that Naruto is doing what must be done to keep the village safe, even if the village hates him because of it. This was never the way things were supposed to work out for Naruto, but there is nothing that can be done to change the past. Regardless of what should have happened, it has helped make him the person he is right now. If you need any help with my daughter, I'm sure he'll be more than willing to assist. I agree and I could use all the help I can get. An unsealed Byakugan in the middle of Kumogakure no Sato is like throwing a single piece of candy into a daycare full of 5-year-olds, said Neji. Two unsealed Byakugans, said Hiashi. Neji didn't like where this was going. I thought you said he wasn't ready for these exams, said Neji. I don't think he is. He doesn't understand anything about what this village and these exams are about, but his father must have pulled some strings and somehow, Shinji ended up filling the final spot on Team Asuma, explained Hiashi. Neji practically cursed in his head. Shinji was most definitely seen as a main branch, Hyuga, with the arrogance and pull up his ass to go along with the title. If it wasn't for Choji and Ino, Neji would most certainly try to ensure Shinji didn't pass. Even so, Shinji was the last person Neji wanted to face in combat. Neji's skills were far above Shinji, but there was one thing that was deferring his actions, the seal. Uncle, what is the progress on? You know, asked Neji, secretly. Jiraiya-sensei's efforts have opened a few possibilities, but the solution is still far away and both of us doubt that the removal seal will be available before the exams are over, said Hiashi. Neji sighed. He would have to play obedient branch member around Shinji now. Hinata and Hiashi were the only main branch members who ever showed him some respect and kindness. For that, he was grateful, but the way the rest of the main family was treating the branch was still drying his patience. I am sorry, but I must ask you to look out for both Hinata and Shinji while at the exam. I have no problem with Hinata-sama, but Shinji. Neji stopped himself before some colorful words could manifest themselves in the relatively clean mind of the Hyuga prodigy. I will do my best, uncle. If anything for you and Hinata-sama. Neji stood up and exited the room, a myriad of thoughts swirling around in his head now after that discussion. Naruto and Sakura were inside Tsunade's office the following morning. They had been right in the fact that they were being given this mission together. However, they were still waiting for one more member of the team. After a few minutes of waiting, the final member of their team finally showed up in a flash of green that burst through the door. Konoha's green beast, reporting for duty Hokage-sama, said Lee, causing Naruto and Sakura's sweat to drop a bit. I guess this means we are going on a mission with bushy brows, said Naruto to Sakura. Looks like it, she responded. Good, now that the three of you are here, I can begin the mission briefing, addressed Tsunade. Naruto, Sakura, and Lee lined up in front of the We've received a mission request from a band of merchants, requiring an escort from Richigo town, in the western regions of the Land of Fire, to the Land of Greens. You three are to rendezvous with the caravan and provide protection for them on their journey to the Land of Greens. You are expected to encounter nothing more than common bandits and a possible low genin level ninja or two, something I think you all can handle. But Bachan, I've gotta train. I still need to get this jutsu down and prepare for the upcoming exams, complained Naruto. Naruto, you've had all month to train and you'll have 2 whole years to train after you leave with Jiraiya, so you've got to contribute to the village somehow while you're here. Besides, I need a team to send Lee on a mission since Hyuga Hiyashi has pulled Neji for some clan business and Tenten has been admitted to the hospital with multiple stress fractures in her legs and arms, most likely courtesy of Guy's extreme workouts. Huh. No offense Tsunade-sama, but why do I specifically have to go on a mission? Asked Lee. Because, ever since your surgery, you've had plenty of rehabilitation and training, but no mission work. I need to be sure that you can resume mission duties before I clear you for these exams, said Tsunade. Lee nodded. Any other complaints? Everyone was silent. Good. Sakura, I am appointing you the leader of the mission. This will be classified as AC rank and I expect this mission will take around a week and a half's time. When you return, depending on the success of your mission, I'll give the 3 of you the rest of the time before the exam to prepare. Dismissed, ordered Tsunade.